Good morning. My name is Art Ross. It's my great privilege to be Dean of the School of Medicine here at West Virginia University, and I want to welcome all of you to the 51st School of Medicine Annual Investiture Ceremony and the 143rd University Commencement Ceremony. Please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Ian Seco. During the national anthem, it's customary for gentlemen to remove their caps. Please be seated. On behalf of the faculty of the School of Medicine, I'd like to welcome the class of 2012 and our honored guests, your parents, spouses, significant others, partners, children, grandparents, other family members, and friends. Also alumni and other members of the university family who are joining us today, some from across the globe viewing the ceremony live on WVU's webcast. You know, before we get going this morning, I'd like to recognize and say thanks to all the mothers who are here with us today. And I also want to say thank you to all the mothers who are not here today, but are the reason why so many of us are here today. To all of you, whether you're here or not, happy Mother's Day. We love you, and thank you so much for all you've done for us. So isn't it a great day to be a mountaineer? Gosh, you gotta love this. To the class, I want to say it's been such an honor and privilege for me to serve as your dean. I've come to know many of you through our weekly lunches and other venues, and from day one, I've been so impressed by your friendliness, your warmth, your professionalism. I'm sorry I was speechless on Friday when you presented me with that nice gift, but I didn't know what to say, so I'll try now and say thank you so much. That's so sweet of you guys. I appreciate all of your kindness. Today, for the first time, as doctors, you will recite the Hippocratic Oath. This oath and the altruism it implores is the foundation of our profession. Your challenge is to become great doctors, realize your fullest potential, and to make sure that where you choose to practice, hopefully West Virginia, is a better place for you having been there. You do this by simply being willing to display the altruism that likely drew you to a career in medicine in the first place. Altruism is many-faceted, but always consists of these touchstones. Integrity in the way you deal with both colleagues and patients. Your word must be honest, true, and sincere at all times. You need to be a lifelong learner. You need to recognize that half of what you learned here over the past 4 years is going to be outdated by your class's 5th reunion. You must develop the habit of continuous learning that lasts throughout your professional lifetime. You need to examine issues and take a stand. Be a leader in your profession and in your community. Recognize that in leadership there will be conflict, there will be controversy, but see them as opportunity and not something to avoid. Finally, always be a patient advocate. Your yardstick must always be what's best for my patient. Your patients will be sick, scared, very, very vulnerable. You must make every person who entrusts themselves or a loved one unto you to feel as though they're the most important person in the world. To do this well is as much a gift for them as it is for you. So now, as we continue today's celebration, I'm going to introduce you all to many of those who have exhibited all of these traits during the time that you've been here. Each of these people have had an important role in the education of the class of 2012. I will ask that each individual stand and remain standing as I call your name, and ask the audience to please hold applause until after all have been introduced. Joining us today is Dr. Christopher Kalenda, Chancellor for Health Sciences. We're also honored today by the presence of several members of the Health Science Center administrative team. Dr. Glenn Dillon, Vice President for Health Sciences Research and Graduate Education. Dr. Fred Menier, Assistant Dean for the School of Medicine Graduate Studies and Director, MD Ph.D. Scholars Program. Dr. Norman D. Ferrari III, Senior Associate Dean for Medical Education. Dr. Scott Cottrell, Associate Dean for Student Services and Curriculum. Dr. Judy Charlton, Vice Dean for Clinical Affairs. Dr. Rosemarie Canarella Lorenzetti, Associate Dean for Student Services, Eastern Campus. And Dr. James P. Griffith, Associate Dean for Student Services, Charleston Division. Each day, these people do the important work that makes it possible for our students to gain admission, meet our requirements, graduate, advance our research programs, preserve the quality of our programs, and assure our continuous accreditation. They balance our budget and improve and preserve our facilities. Thank you all so very much. The revenue that our school receives from WVU Healthcare is its main financial support. Representing WVU Healthcare, our teaching hospitals, and its faculty is Dr. Judy Charlton, who you've just met. She's also Chief Medical Officer for WVU Healthcare. I also want to acknowledge and thank Mr. Bruce McClymans, President and CEO of WVU Hospitals, who unfortunately could not be with us today. Without our teaching hospitals, there could be no medical school. They provide a place for our students to learn side by side with our faculty doctors. Thank you, Dr. Charlton. Representing our thousands of alumni across the state and nation is my good friend, Dr. Lee Schaefer, class of 1948, president of the WVU School of Medicine Alumni Association, an absolutely terrific group whom we depend on for wise counsel and support. Also joining Dr. Schaefer today are members of the class of 1962, representing the class of the first four-year WVU MD graduates, Dr. Francis Goad, Dr. Frederick Cooley, Dr. Joseph Reed, Dr. Basil Cutlip. Would you all stand? I'd also like to take a moment to recognize the chairs of the various departments in the School of Medicine or their representatives. A medical school is a very complex institution. Each of these chairs has responsibility for a department of many faculty members. Our school's faculty is larger than most of West Virginia's colleges and universities, and they teach not only our medical students, but students from several other health professions programs. They run large research programs, and they provide health care for our many, many patients. I will call upon the chairs of the department representatives and ask each to stand briefly. I ask you once again to hold your applause until they've all been introduced. Dr. Brian Gross, Department of Anesthesiology. Dr. James Stevenson, Department of Behavioral Medicine and Psychiatry. Dr. Michael Schaller, Department of Biochemistry. Dr. Chris Martin, Department of Community Medicine. Dr. Todd Krockow, Department of Emergency Medicine. Dr. James Arbogast, Department of Family Medicine. Dr. James Brick, Department of Internal Medicine. Dr. John Barnett, Department of Microbiology, Immunology, and Cell Biology. Dr. Richard Day, Department of Neurobiology and Anatomy. Dr. John Brick, Department of Neurology. Dr. John Collins, Department of Neurosurgery. Dr. Michael Vernon, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Dr. Lee Wiley, Department of Ophthalmology. Dr. Sanford Emery, Department of Orthopedics. Dr. Stephen Wetmore, Department of Otolaryngology. Dr. Barbara Ducketman, Department of Pathology. Dr. Giovanni Piedamonte, Department of Pediatrics. Dr. Robert Goodman, Department of Physiology and Pharmacology. Dr. Geraldine Jacobson, Department of Radiation Oncology. Dr. Robert Tellickson, Department of Radiology. and Dr. Allison Wilson, Department of Surgery. I thank you all very sincerely. Now, of course, the chairs would not be able to accomplish their tasks without a strong and diverse faculty, and we are blessed. Our faculty at the School of Medicine is the heart of our institution. It's these physicians and scientists who've worked one-on-one with this year's class to bring them to this day. They're the backbone of the school, and I'd ask that all faculty members present please rise and be recognized. We thank you for all that you've done. We thank you for all that you've done for this class and for all our students, as well as for having taken the time to come today on Mother's Day and help celebrate this very special occasion. Thank you all so much. And I want to speak for them for a second. We want the class to know that all of us as faculty are very grateful that you chose to entrust your education as medical professionals to our school. Ours is, without question, one of this country's very finest medical schools, and now with you all as alums, it's even better. I'd like to recognize our other Associate Deans and Administrators seated with our faculty in the audience. Dr. Mitch Jakes, retiring Campus Dean and Associate Vice President, Eastern Division. Dr. Jamal Mustafa, Assistant Vice President for Research. Dr. Conrad C. Now, newly appointed Campus Dean and Associate Vice President, Eastern Division. Dr. James Brown, Assistant Dean for Student Services, Eastern Division. And Ms. Linda B. Nine, Vice President for Health Sciences and Alumni Affairs. Thank you all. I would now like to introduce my good friend and boss, Dr. Christopher Calenda. You don't always have both of those at the same time, but Chris is our Chancellor for Health Sciences and a terrific friend. He came to West Virginia University Health Sciences Center in 2009 from the College of Medicine at Texas A&M Health Sciences Center, where he served as Dean and Vice President for Clinical Affairs. During his tenure here with us at WVU, we've experienced lots of positive changes, many of which have improved our state and national rankings. We look forward to the years ahead with him at the helm, guiding us to achieve the Health Science Center's vision of transforming lives and eliminating health disparities. Dr. Calenda.
Thank you, Art, and let me also add my congratulations to Mother's Day, and for all those in the audience. You know, mothers, you've given us great gifts here, and the gifts are standing here about to be graduates of this great school, West Virginia University. So happy Mother's Day. One of the things I've been thinking about over the last several months in terms of putting together a series of lectures has been leadership and the relationship of leadership and character. And much of my comments are going to be directed towards our student graduates here, so if I turn my back on you, I apologize in advance. But one of the things that I'd like the students to do is to think about, have a thought experiment, and in that thought experiment, think of the faculty member or person in your life that was able to raise your game in terms of being a leader. And then a second thought experiment is to think of somebody who was a leader who deflated that immediately. And one of the things about leadership is that there's lots of literature out there that talks about personality styles and all types of environmental training and things like this. But one of the authors that I've been most impressed with recently is a guy named Colonel Eric Kale, who's the Director of Leadership Development Programs at the United States Military Academy at West Point. And he looks at leadership from the perspective of character. 6 facets of character: courage, collaboration, selflessness, integrity, empathy, and reflection. Courage. When he talks about courage, he's not talking about the physical courage when a person is put into harm's way. What he's really talking about is moral courage, the ability to make decisions where there's moral or ethical uncertainty, And as future physicians, as future researchers, these are the types of things that you're going to be faced with as you progress through your careers. Collaboration. You all didn't get here on your own. It was within the context of a team. And as we evolve in terms of both research as well as clinical care into the future, team-based cooperation and collaboration is central to changing the trajectory of healthcare and research in this country. Selflessness. I'd like to share with the audience, our students at the Health Science Center did almost 140,000 hours. 140,000 hours of community service last year. That's outstanding. We have about 3,000 students in the Health Science Center. As you move forward in your careers, selflessness and the ability to give back to the communities in which you live and work and play is very important and will further establish you as community leaders. Integrity. Integrity is fairly simple. It's about trust. And it takes many, many hours, many days, years to build trust with your colleagues. But I can share with you that you can lose trust in a heartbeat. Empathy. Empathy is the enemy of narcissism. And when you're always thinking about me, you can't really begin to think about the folks that you're serving, patients, families, your colleagues in your research labs. And as Dr. Nielsen once said, our speaker here today, and she said this in a large audience like this, she said, "Today's peacock is tomorrow's feather duster." Reflection. Now, there's a lot of pop psychology going on right now about living in the moment, and I think that that's rubbish. I think in order for physicians and researchers and all of us in the audience to begin to gain wisdom, you have to be able to understand your past, the mistakes that you made in the past, to bring that into the present so that you can better position yourselves to be outstanding leaders and thoughtful leaders to make wise decisions into the future. Wisdom is about the continuum between the past, the present, and the future. So folks, in about an hour, hopefully, I'm going to say stuff like, by the power invested in me, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's code for it's time for you to get on with your lives. Okay? And get on with your lives with courage and character, because the responsibility as a physician, as a researcher, is about the future. And when you do that with character, you will bring great credit to yourselves, to your university, to your families. So again, it's my pleasure to be here today. I wish every mother in the audience congratulations. Thank you for your gifts. Your gifts are here on the stage. Thank you, and let's have a great Mountaineer Day.
Thank you, Dr. Kalenda, for your really very inspiring remarks, as well as your outstanding leadership of our Health Sciences Center. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our 2012 commencement speaker, Nancy H. Nielsen, MD, Ph.D. It's been my privilege to have known and worked with Dr. Nielsen for a number of years, even prior to my arrival here at West Virginia University. It's an even greater privilege to be able to call her my friend. She was born and raised a West Virginian, a mother who successfully raised 5 children. Dr. Nielsen is an internist who's lived a life of service both to her patients and her profession. Her commitment to American medicine and the American Medical Association have been equaled by few others. She served as Speaker of the AMA House of Delegates and as spokesperson for the AMA's Voice for the Uninsured campaign, advocating affordable health insurance for all Americans. In 2008-2009, she served as the 163rd President of the AMA. This is an amazing accomplishment and an incredible commitment. It's a position with international visibility as the spokesperson and leader of all of American medicine, one which requires hundreds of days of travel, speaking, and advocacy as well as opportunities to spend time in places like the Oval Office. She did so with grace and dignity, bringing great honor both to herself, American medicine, and to West Virginia, which she still so proudly calls her home. In 2009, for this and for so many other lifetime professional achievements, Dr. Nielsen was elected to membership of the Institute of Medicine of the National Academy of Sciences. That's a big deal. It's considered one of the highest honors that one can achieve in the fields of health and medicine. She's currently a senior advisor to the Center of Innovation at the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Prior to joining the center, Dr. Nielsen was a member of the board of directors of the Kaleida Health System, a 5-hospital system in Western New York, and chief medical officer of Independent Health, a large regional health plan in the Buffalo area. She's a WVU graduate. She received her medical degree from the State University of New York at Buffalo School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences, where she's now a clinical professor of medicine and senior associate dean for health policy. She was named to WVU's Academy of Distinguished Alumni in 2009, and much to my delight, she currently serves on our school's visiting committee. So once again, the hills and country roads have brought a proud and accomplished expatriate back home. We're so honored to have Dr. Nielsen with us here today at our commencement ceremony, and I hope you'll join me in warmly welcoming her back to West Virginia. Dr. Nielsen.
It is such an honor to be here with all of you at this day that is so special for the folks on the stage. And it's particularly a joy for me because it is Mother's Day, because my own graduation from medical school was on Mother's Day. But I was a non-traditional student and I had 5 small children when I graduated, so imagine, I'm getting ready, I'm getting all the kids ready for this day that is the most momentous, one that I'm gonna cherish forever. And my son David, age 7, announced he wasn't going. He was gonna stay home and watch The Incredible Hulk on TV. So in my most supportive and maternal fashion, I said, David, if you ever want to eat again, you will get dressed and you will get dressed now. So I am fully in sympathy with those who believe that there are better ways to spend a Sunday morning and who are coming here to honor the graduates. This is a special day for me. It was great to drive from Washington and see that sign that I love, the Wild and Wonderful, which is, by the way, a lot better than the older ones. Remember those? It just is very exciting. I spent yesterday at Cooper's Rock remembering some wonderful times that I had when I was here as a student. But to the class of 2012, this is your day. Now, I'm going to ask for you to have a show of hands here. How many of you are receiving PhDs today? How many, both MD and PhDs? And the rest of you are the medical graduates. I feel awkward because my remarks are addressed to you, and I apologize for having my back to you, so I don't think we'll turn this around because I think that will mess up the video, but I didn't intend it this way is what I'm trying to say to you guys. What I'd like to do is talk about this being your day and all these years of hard work and standardized tests and dogged determination have paid off. But you know, they say the only people happier on graduation day than the graduates are the parents of the graduates for reasons that we all understand. I join your faculty and your administration in being incredibly proud of you. I've looked at where those of you who are PhDs are going to continue your research. I've looked at where you have matched, and I can only say to the audience here, they are really awesome. But what I'd like to do now is ask you to fast forward just a few weeks. You're about to have the most amazing experiences. This is a time when you are going to be physically taxed, mentally taxed, and your knowledge is going to expand exponentially. It is going to be a really amazing time. Now, for those of you who are receiving MD degrees today, let me ask you a question, and I won't ask for a show of hands. But how many of you are just a little worried about being able to write orders without anybody countersigning them? Well, those of you who aren't worried, maybe you ought to give that a little more thought. This world of medicine is changing very rapidly. Those of you who are scientists and physician scientists, you have already contributed through your research to the changing knowledge base that continually evolves. But the whole environment of medicine is changing. This whole nation is awaiting the Supreme Court decision about the individual mandate. And by the way, that's also known, depending on where you get your news, as individual responsibility. That decision will come down just as those of you getting MDs will be beginning your residency. This country is highly partisan and deeply divided at this time. But no matter what the result of the Supreme Court decision, and no matter what the result of the November elections, the problems in healthcare that got us to this point will remain and have to be dealt with. And how we as a country deal with them is going to affect all of you. Those of you who are teaching, those of you in the laboratory, those of you going into practice. It will affect you, and it will affect your patients. So your next few years are going to be spent learning and caring and becoming expert. Meanwhile, here are the facts. We do a fabulous job with acute illness, not so much with chronic illness, despite the fact that we spend more than twice what any other country in the world spends on healthcare. We have 45 million uninsured individuals in this country, and we're the last developed country in the world to figure out how to deal with that. Do we want to continue to be a country where medical costs are the #1 cause of personal bankruptcy, and where dealing with life-threatening illness requires us to do benefits in church basements? Is that the kind of country we want? We're facing true public health epidemics. You know them, you've studied them. Obesity, diabetes, prescription drug abuse, a big problem in this state. Violence, a problem everywhere. It is going to take all our efforts, all your best efforts, to deal with those problems. And some of the solutions that we desperately need relate to how we deliver care to our patients. Care that's more coordinated, more patient-focused, and also new ways to pay for those services. That's what we're working on at the Center for Innovation, in concert with those on the front line. These are not easy issues, but everybody knows that things have to change. So the torch is being passed to each of you today, and I challenge you, even as you begin the steepest learning curve of your life, to get involved whenever you can, because it is not the government. It is doctors and nurses and others on the front line of medical care who should be shaping the landscape of medicine. And we need to always do it for the benefit of our patients and with them, as a matter of fact. Eric Topol is a noted cardiologist, and he wrote a new bestseller called The Creative Destruction of Medicine. I don't know if you've read it. He says this: Medicine is about to undergo its biggest shakeup in history. He's talking about the digital technology that's going to allow our smartphones to measure our heart rhythm, our blood glucose, our brain waves, and maybe someday detect cancer cells circulating in the bloodstream and maybe warn us of an impending heart attack. He says this is going to democratize medicine, and what he means by that is that patients will have information that formerly only doctors had. You may find that a little frightening, but what he says is the most exciting time ever in the history of medicine and healthcare lies before us. I'm reminded of a famous El Paso muralist who said, "My wife and I live on the east side of the mountain. It's where we can see the day that is coming, not the day that is gone." You are beginning your careers on the east side of the mountain. In this country, every day and every night, doctors do heroic things. They save lives, they change lives, they do things that were impossible a decade ago. Many of the routines of medicine have changed. Some primary care physicians no longer go to the hospital, and a new specialty, hospitalist, is growing steadily. But how people are treated when they encounter the healthcare system hasn't really changed that much. In fact, the fragmentation and lack of coordination is well known to anybody in the audience who's ever had a serious or chronic illness. Just think about waiting in the very appropriately named waiting room, waiting for results, for appointments, for a phone call to be answered. That can be maddening, and it's not focused on what patients need, not because health professionals don't care, but because the infrastructure to deliver that coordinated care isn't there, isn't valued, and isn't paid for by insurers. And at times, this healthcare system can be heartbreaking and soul-crushing. Let me read you an email we received from a woman I'll call Susan Naples. "My husband was Dr. John Naples, a psychiatrist for 39 years. He was admitted to," and she names a hospital in a state that is very close to where we are right now. He was admitted to the hospital after developing an intracranial bleed. "I was denied access to my husband except for very strict visiting 4 times a day for 30 minutes. My husband wanted me in the ICU. He challenged the ICU nurses and doctors, saying, 'She's not a visitor, she's my wife.' But it made no difference. He was there for the last days of his life, and there were a lot of missed opportunities for us. We loved each other very deeply, and we wanted to share our last days and moments together. We both knew the gravity of his illness, and my husband wanted quality of life, not quantity. He was so proud of being a doctor, but they never called him that. They always referred to him as John. I am advocating to hospital administrators," she continues, "that visiting hours have to be open, especially for spouses. I do not feel that his care was individualized to meet his needs. He wanted me there more than I was allowed. I feel that it was a very cruel thing that was done to us." What would a husband and wife, aware of the short time left, want to talk about? I don't know for Dr. and Mrs. Naples, but I do know for me and my family. I'd want to talk about the kids and the beloved family pets and the crazy things they did and the trips we took together and the joys and the sorrows. That's what we'd be doing. And the nurses would be coming in and out of the room and checking the IV and monitoring the heart rate. and we wouldn't even notice. We would be the ones there together in that final corner of my life. That was stolen. Somebody stole that from Dr. and Mrs. Naples. Who was the someone? Nameless. It wasn't deliberate. They didn't understand who was at home and who was the guest. Someone who put the IV first and the patient second. Of course, it really isn't someone at all, is it? I mean, the words sound so reasonable. It's our policy. It's against the rule. It would be a problem. But what's unreasonable is the unspoken words that those indicate. It's our policy that you cannot hold your husband's hand. It's against the rules for you to be together now. It would be a problem if we treated you on your terms rather than ours. This is the voice of power, and power does not always think things through. Power can be, in Mrs. Naples' words, cruel. I tell you this story, and I ask you to remember it, because the story offers you a choice. Today, you take a big step into power. With your white coat, your scrubs, your stethoscope, you today enter a world of new and vast privilege. It may not feel like that right away. Whether you're in the laboratory toiling or whether you're living the harried life of a new resident. And later, you may not feel so powerful when you're in the classroom or the laboratory or in practice and running behind and fighting with insurance companies, but you will have power and privilege. In return for your years of study and your dedication to a life of service to others, and your willingness to take the oath that you're going to take in a few minutes, society will give you rights that it gives no one else. Society will permit you to use drugs and instruments that can do great harm as well as great good, and that in the hands of others might be weapons. Society will give you special titles and privileges, and society will let you write rules. And in that role, with that power, you will meet Dr. and Mrs. Naples over and over and over again. But they will be in disguise. They will be a mother afraid to touch her preemie on a ventilator. They will be the coal miner ashamed to tell you he can't read your forms. They will be the housewife in the MRI machine who desperately has to urinate and is ashamed. They will be my friend from Elkins, a civil engineer whose mind is slipping away. They will be disguised as the child over whom you tower, or the 90-year-old over whom you tower. And what you do and how you react to them is a small thing in this vast, complicated, expensive healthcare world that you've joined, but that small thing is what matters, and in fact, it is all that matters. Because you are a guest in their lives, and all that matters is the husband, the daughter, the poet, the coal miner. And in the moment you encounter that person, you have a choice. You can hide behind rules and protocols and policies. You can say, your 30 minutes are up. Or you can say, would you like to be alone? Or maybe, would you like me to stay a while? If you're willing, you're going to hear the most personal things from patients. You'll hear their fears and their hopes and sometimes secrets that are shared with no one else on earth. Ask about their lives. Ask what it was like to work in the mines. You're going to learn a lot. And cherish those moments, because those things that you learn about human nature can make you a better person, a more tolerant person, a more loving person. Because I want to let you in on a secret. Those who suffer need you to be more than a doctor. They need you to be a healer. And to do that, you have to do something more difficult than all the effort of earning and putting on the white coat. You have to take the white coat off to join those you serve rather than towering over them. To understand them and to embrace our frail, shared humanity, and to remember that you are a guest in their lives. When you do that, you become a healer. You will hold lives and bodies in your hands. There is no greater power, no greater privilege, and it will be yours in just a few moments. You are living on the east side of the mountain, and the sun is just coming up. I trust you will use the day wisely. Congratulations, and let's go, Mountaineers.
Wow. Whether you're a physician, some other healthcare worker, or just anybody, aren't you glad that when the policymakers come to a person to understand about American medicine today, that that's who they're going to talk to? Terrific. You know, it's pretty hard to talk about this kind of stuff because we're all so polarized in the way that we think and the way that we act and the way that we view all of what's before us. I don't think I have ever heard anybody stand up and do something like that and know that absolutely everybody would stand behind it and agree. That's just amazing, Nancy. Thank you so much. Next, Mr. Seco will sing for us My Home Among the Hills, composed in 1963 in honor of West Virginia's centennial celebration by Clarksburg native, Mr. E.W. James.
There's a land of rolling mountains where the sky is blue above, and though I may roam, I hurry home to the friendly hills I love, where the moonlit meadows ring with the call of whippoorwills. Always you will find me in my home among the hills, and where the sun draws rainbows in the mist of waterfalls and mountain rills. My heart will be always in the West Virginia hills. Their autumn hillsides are bright with scarlet trees, and in the spring the robins sing, while apple blossoms whisper in the breeze, and there is music in the flashing streams, and joy in fields of daffodils, laughter through the happy
Thank you, Mr. Seco. Dr. Glenn Dillon, Vice President, Research and Graduate Studies, will now preside over the School of Medicine Doctor of Philosophy candidates for their investing of the Doctor of Philosophy hoods. During the hooding, Dr. Fred L. Manier will assist as candidates are hooded by their faculty advisors. Chancellor Kalenda will represent the university in the presentation of the diploma. Dr. Dillon.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. Good morning and welcome to all of you. This is my first opportunity to be part of the commencement for the West Virginia University, and I'm very pleased and privileged to do so. Today we confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in recognition of students' accomplishments in academics and research. When students begin graduate training here at West Virginia University, they continue a transition from classroom-based learning to laboratory-based discovery. These laboratories can take different forms: the traditional laboratory bench, hospitals and clinics, but also places where people gather. Ph.D. students must become experts in their chosen field. They must become experts also in the experimental tools on which they rely to conduct their research. In biomedical programs, this might entail the use of molecular biology and genomics to understand how cells divide and specialize and what happens to go awry during this process in cancer. They might also use experimental computational techniques to understand signaling in the brain. The students who are receiving the PhD degrees have formed close relationships with individual faculty members. Through these relationships, they have progressed from student to scientist. Those receiving the PhD degree have not only become experts in their chosen fields of research, but they have learned to collaborate, as Dr. Kalenda has talked about the key importance of collaboration in research and science. They've learned to communicate and interact with the larger scientific community, and to be both simultaneously remain both curious and also skeptical. Most importantly, each of those who are receiving the PhD degree has made a significant scientific discovery. Examples of these discoveries are the understanding of the involvement of the brain in leukemic cancers, the vascular consequences of metabolic syndrome, and how the brain processes auditory input. Our PhD graduates are embarking on a period of additional fellowship training to complete the transition to independent scientists. Much as our MD graduates are transitioning to their medical specialties for additional training as well. It is fitting then that our PhD and MD graduates share a stage, since their lives will be entwined much more so than those who sat on a stage like this years ago. Much is changing in both healthcare and the science that supports it. Central concepts are that the practice of medicine must continue to be based on sound scientific evidence, that scientific discoveries must be translated to the clinics and the communities, and that methods of disease prevention and treatment must be subjected to rigorous scientific evaluation. These efforts will require that scientists have a sound understanding of clinical issues and that physicians fully appreciate the science supporting their clinical specialties. This year, 17 students are receiving the PhD degree. We are pleased that 11 of our PhD degree recipients are with us here today. 6 others receiving the PhD degree have already gone on to postdoctoral training at other institutions and couldn't be here with us today. And we also have 6 biomedical PhD students who are receiving their degrees as part of the graduation ceremony of the School of Pharmacy. So now to the actual awarding of the degrees. I will read the name of each PhD degree recipient and their faculty mentor. The topics of the student's dissertation research are published in the program. Will all the PhD degree recipients please rise? Please line up in the central space. First degree, Stephen Matthew Akers, a joint MD PhD student, hooded by his advisor, Dr. Laura Gibson, Professor of Microbiology, Immunology, and Cell Biology. Shinichi Asano, hooded by his advisor, Dr. Gregory Dick, Assistant Professor of Exercise Physiology. Kevin John Bieshold, hooded by his father, Dr. Donald Bieshold, who is Chief of the Allergy and Clinical Immunology Branch in the Health Effects Laboratory Division at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, and an adjunct faculty member in the Department of Microbiology, Immunology, and Cell Biology. I had a chance to hood my wife, and it is a very nice feeling. Daisy Roberta Bridge, hooded by a member of her dissertation committee, Dr. Karen Martin, Research Assistant Professor of Microbiology, Immunology, and Cell Biology. Daisy's advisor, Dr. Olson, Associate Professor of Microbiology, Immunology, and Cell Biology, could not be here today. Clinton Garrett Cooper, a joint MD Ph.D. student, hooded by a member of his dissertation committee, Dr. James Lewis, Assistant Professor of Physiology and Pharmacology. Adam Glenn Goodwill, hooded by Dr. Fred Manier, Assistant Vice President for Graduate Education and Professor of Physiology and Pharmacology. His advisor, Dr. Jefferson Frisbee, Professor of Physiology and Pharmacology, was unable to be here today. Ajay Pudmij Nayak, hooded by his advisor, Dr. Donald Bieshold. Mariam Sharifi Sanjani, hooded by her advisor, Dr. Jamal Mustafa, Assistant Vice President for Research and Professor of Physiology and Pharmacology. Brian Guerrezo Zamora, a joint MD PhD student, hooded by his advisor, Dr. Peter Mathers, Associate Professor of Otolaryngology. Lior Christina Zellner, hooded by her advisor, Dr. Richard Day, who is Professor and Chair of Neurobiology and Anatomy. Ziping Zhou, hooded by his advisor, Dr. Ping He, Professor of Physiology and Pharmacology. At this time, would all recipients of the Doctor of Philosophy degree please rise? will the audience join me in congratulating our new graduates who have been awarded the Ph.D. from West Virginia University. It's now my sincere pleasure to introduce Daisy Bridge, a member of the Ph.D. class of 2012, who will speak on behalf of her fellow Ph.D. recipients. Dr. Bridge.
I am honored to speak on behalf of my fellow Ph.D. graduates, to our families, friends, and professors. Today we embark on a new journey in our lives. Today is the day we enter the scientific community as doctors. For many of us, this marks the end of a journey we started long ago. For some of us, this journey started when we first discovered science as a child. For others, it may have started when we entered high school or college and were inspired by a science class or a mentor. I'm sure you all remember that moment when you said, "I want to be a scientist." But what does being a scientist really mean? Despite what most people believe, our days are often not as glamorous as the scientists portrayed on TV. Despite spending long hours in the lab, it may not appear that we are contributing much to curing a disease or shedding light on a topic when we are in fact discovering great things. From my perspective, I believe that we are trying to piece together a very large puzzle, and that each manuscript we publish adds another bit of information to a broader understanding of the mechanism underlying the disease or process we study. For each of our contributions puts us one step closer to the answers we search for. And why do we do this? The simple answers are because we love the thrill of discovering something that no one else has seen before, and because we have an overwhelming desire to help others. As the late Steve Jobs said, "We don't know where it will lead, we just know that there's something much bigger than any of us here." Mr. Jobs' words are particularly prudent to us as biomedical scientists, as we aim to discover something that will influence the way diseases are treated by the physicians we are graduating with today. Through the numerous failed experiments we are sure to encounter, and the hypotheses that never turn out the way we hope, we need to remember that we are working towards something bigger than ourselves, and that sometimes our failures will shed light on something that wouldn't have otherwise been discovered. From this point forward, our paths will diverge. We are no longer considered students, although we will continue to study and learn. Others will perform biomedical research, while some of us will pursue academic research careers. Regardless of the path, each task comes with a huge responsibility. Albert Einstein said it best when he said that most people say that it is the intellect that makes a great scientist. They are wrong. It is character. Regardless of our chosen career path, today, as we recite the ethical oath for scientists, we must remember to strive to be the best that we can be with the utmost integrity. On behalf of each of my fellow doctoral students, I would like to thank the family and friends who have supported and will continue to support our endeavors. Without your encouragement, we wouldn't be where we are today. I would also like to thank our mentors, since without your guidance, we also wouldn't be here. Finally, to each of my fellow graduates, congratulations. We have achieved the goal that we have worked so hard for. I wish each of you the best of luck as we set out to discover the next piece of the puzzle.
Thank you, Daisy. So it is time for the ethical affirmation for scientists. It's an honor to represent the faculty and the administration in leading our PhD graduates in citing this ethical affirmation for scientists. We believe this affirmation is unique to our campus. It was written by Drs. Robert Craig, Ann Cather, and James Culberson, all outstanding faculty here in the School of Medicine. Its publication in the journal Science in 2003 brought international recognition to our university and its PhD programs. As new biomedical scientists, it is appropriate for you to take a few minutes and contemplate some of the ethical demands you will be facing. There will be immense pressure to succeed. You'll experience very intense competition for research funding. You may encounter questions of authorship on manuscripts. You may be faced with conflicts of interest or conflicts of commitment, as well as other situations that require decisions of an ethical nature. The ethical affirmation you are about to repeat represents what you, as scientists, should strive for throughout your careers. At this time, would all of our PhD graduates please stand? I also invite all scientists on stage and in the audience to stand and repeat the ethical affirmation along with our graduates. I believe it is published in your program. Please repeat after me. As I embark on my career as a biomedical scientist, I willingly pledge that I will honorably represent my scientific profession, that I will conduct my research and my professional life in a manner that is always above reproach, and that I will seek to incorporate the body of ethics and moral principles that constitute scientific integrity into all that I do. I will strive always to ensure that the results of my research and other scientific activities ultimately benefit humanity, and that they cause no harm. With this affirmation, I pledge to acknowledge and honor the contributions of scientists who have preceded me, to seek truth and the advancement of knowledge in all my work, and to become a worthy role model, deserving of respect by those who follow me. Thank you. You can all sit.
Thank you, Dr. Dillon, and congratulations to all of the graduates. Dr. Scott Cottrell, Associate Dean for Student Services, will now present the Doctor of Medicine candidates for their investing of the Doctor of Medicine hoods. Doctors Rosemarie Canarella Lorenzetti, Norman Ferrari, and James Griffith will assist with the hooding. Today, 32 of our graduates will be hooded by family and faculty members, of whom 13 are graduates of the West Virginia University School of Medicine. These guest participants will include mothers, fathers, spouses, and siblings, who are all also physicians. Chancellor Kalenda will represent the university in the presentation of the diplomas. Dr. Cottrell.
Stephen Matthew Akers, Internal Medicine and Pediatrics, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia. Hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari, class of 1982, Senior Associate Dean, Morgantown campus. Elizabeth Highland Bowles, Internal Medicine and Pediatrics, Tulane University School of Medicine, New Orleans, Louisiana. Hooded by Dr. James Griffith, class of 1985, Associate Dean, Charleston campus. Jeffrey Peter Bravo, Internal Medicine and Pediatrics, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia. Hooded by his father-in-law and faculty member, Dr. Timothy Jackson, Internal Medicine. Joshua Clark Briscoe, Internal Medicine and Psychiatry, Duke University Medical Center, Durham, North Carolina. Hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Robert Ernest Brookover, surgery, Allegheny General Hospital, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Philip Marshall Bruff, family medicine, Utah Valley Regional Medical Center, Provo, Utah, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Cynthia Bowie, surgery, Brookdale Hospital and Medical Center, Brooklyn, New York, hooded by Dr. Robert Cochran, surgery, Charleston Division. Sarah Marie Burke, surgery, Marshall University, Huntington, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Stephanie Wandering Busby, surgery, University of Tennessee College of Medicine, Memphis, Tennessee, hooded by Dr. Allison Wilson, surgery. Timothy Andrew Carpenter, anesthesiology, University of Toledo, Toledo, Ohio, hooded by his mother, Dr. Barbara Stowe Carpenter. Alexander Castro, diagnostic radiology, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by her father and grandfather, Drs. William and Leonidas Castro. Jonathan G. Kai Chang, pediatrics, University of Tennessee College of Medicine, Memphis, Tennessee, hooded by Dr. Julia Cruz, internal medicine, Charleston Division. Kara Marie Clark, dermatology, Gensinger Health System, Danville, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Stacy Lynn Cook, emergency medicine, Virginia Commonwealth University Health System, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Clinton Garrett Cooper, internal medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Blake Thomas Daney, orthopedic surgery, Akron General Medical Center, Akron, Ohio, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Christina Anna Davis, pathology, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan, hooded by Dr. Holland Larrabee, emergency medicine. Anne Marie Diedrich, neurology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Ann Cather, class of 1983, family medicine. Jason Wayne DeBerry, Diagnostic Radiology, University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Paul Anthony DiGiulio, Obstetrics and Gynecology, St. Barnabas Medical Center, Livingston, New Jersey, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Umed Jalali, Dermatology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Sean Charles Dodson, Diagnostic Radiology, Indiana University School of Medicine, Indianapolis, Indiana, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Matthew Paul Elliott, Neurology, University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Allison Renee Ferris, Surgery, Carilion Clinic, Roanoke, Virginia, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti, class of 1979, Associate Dean for Student Services, Eastern Division. Parissa Anna Fazy, Neurology, Georgetown University Hospital, Washington, D.C., hooded by Dr. David Watson, Neurology, Morgantown, class of 1999. John Joseph Feldman IV, Orthopedic Surgery, University of Tennessee College of Medicine, Memphis, Tennessee, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Heather Nicole Flesher, Child Neurology, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by her brother-in-law, Dr. Jeremy Waters. Stuart Patterson Godwin, Emergency Medicine, Eastern Virginia Medical School, Norfolk, Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. John Michael Guido, Internal Medicine, The Ohio State University Medical Center, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Brittany Zampetta Cusick, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, hooded by her uncle, Dr. Richard Casuccio. Donald Joseph Hahn, Surgery, Union Memorial Hospital, Baltimore, Maryland, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Eric W. Hahn, Internal Medicine, North Shore, Long Island, Jewish Health System, Great Neck, New York, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Andrew Egan Hanselman, Orthopedic Surgery, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Lucas Michael Heller, Internal Medicine, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Samuel Trent Hester, Internal Medicine, University of North Carolina Hospitals, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, hooded by his father, Dr. David Allen Hester. Eric Zue Huang, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by his father, Dr. Zongwen Edgar Huang. Fareed Jalali, Internal Medicine, University of California, Irvine Medical Center, Orange, California, hooded by Dr. Anthony Paravani, Internal Medicine. Kelly Denise Jones, Psychiatry, Tripler Army Medical Center, Honolulu, Hawaii, hooded by her uncle, Dr. Chad Johnston. Kevin Douglas Junkins, Psychiatry, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Miranda Lynn King, Anesthesiology, Beaumont Health System, Royal Oak, Michigan, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Nathan John Klingensmith, Surgery, Emory University School of Medicine, Atlanta, Georgia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Nathaniel Allen Lee, Surgery, Virginia Commonwealth University Health System, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella. Stephanie May Leeser, Pathology, University of California, San Francisco, California, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Aaron Christopher Lim, Anesthesiology, Virginia Commonwealth University Health System, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by his parents, Drs. Arturo and Malai Lin. Devin Gunnar Lindstrom, Anesthesiology, University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinic, Iowa City, Iowa, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Donovan Logan Mabe, Internal Medicine, National Capital Consortium, Walter Reed National Medical Center, Bethesda, Maryland, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Adam Robert Mathis, Neurological Surgery, Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Morgan Parker McBee, Diagnostic Radiology, University Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio, hooded by his father, Dr. Alden G. McBee, class of 1975. Molly Catherine McCartney, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Trey Haggerty, Family Medicine, class of 2007. Tara Marie Melgary, Radiation Oncology, Indiana University School of Medicine, Indianapolis, Indiana, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Laura Staunton Miller, Internal Medicine, Union Memorial Hospital, Baltimore, Maryland, hooded by her uncle, Dr. Steve Miller, class of 1976. Diana Manatsakanova, Neurology, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Lori Gutman, Neurology, Morgantown, class of 1986. Chad Edmund Morley, Urology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Stanley Zaslow, Urology. Hillary Elaine Morley, Pediatrics, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Adam Kyle Morrison, Pediatrics, University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, hooded by Dr. J. Richard Casuccio, Surgery. Aaron Benjamin Nelson, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Rebecca Lynn Nush, Anesthesiology, Georgetown University Hospital, Washington, D.C., hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Allison Grace Norrod, Ophthalmology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Judy Charlton, Ophthalmology, class of 1985. Justine Abigail Paganhart, Emergency Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Holland Larrabee. Amy J. Peasley, Pediatrics, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Brian Rydell, Pediatrics, Morgantown. Dino Robert Philippi, Family Medicine, United Hospital Center, Bridgeport, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Catherine Anna Pollock, Pediatrics, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by her parents, Dr. Mark Pollock, class of 1982, and Dr. Judith Pollock. Andrew M. Price, Neurology, Temple University Hospital, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, hooded by his father-in-law, Dr. Kudalor Vazidevin. Etesham Hamid Kaizi, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by his brother, Dr. Umar Kaizi, class of 2007. Mitch Saraban Ratanasen, Pediatrics, University of California, Davis Medical Center, Sacramento, California, hooded by Dr. Nicholas Young, Internal Medicine and Pediatrics, Charleston Division, class of 2004. Stephen Michael Regal, Orthopedic Surgery, Allegheny General Hospital, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Yinghao Long Riffy, Internal Medicine and Pediatrics, Virginia Commonwealth University Health System, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Lindsay Nicole Robo, Pediatrics, Cooper University Hospital, Camden, New Jersey, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella. Zachary Scott Roeder, Diagnostic Radiology, University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Jill Christie Rotruck, Ophthalmology, California Pacific Medical Center, San Francisco, California, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Zachary Brandon Royce, Diagnostic Radiology, Emory University School of Medicine, Atlanta, Georgia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Timothy Joseph Schaffner, General Surgery, State University of New York at Buffalo, Buffalo, New York, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Audrey Michelle Shellhouse, Psychiatry, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Kevin Vincent Schrand, Surgery, Good Samaritan Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Leah K. Schreier, Pediatrics, Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, Cincinnati, Ohio, hooded by her father-in-law, Dr. Alden G. McBee. Monica J. Shaw, Internal Medicine, Rush University Medical Center, Chicago, Illinois, hooded by her father, Dr. Jayesh Shah. Patricia Ann Shaw, Psychiatry, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Suzanne Chobe, Behavioral Medicine and Psychiatry, class of 2002. Nicole Wayne Sheets, surgery, Charleston Area Medical Center, Charleston, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Stephanie Brooke Sisler, pediatrics, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Templeton Smith III, Family Medicine, Charleston Area Medical Center, Charleston, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Scott Cottrell, Associate Dean. Christopher Chauncey Spears, Neurology, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Brittany Elise Spar, Family Medicine, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, St. Margaret, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Samantha Ann Stamper, Anesthesiology, Western Pennsylvania Hospital, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by her brother, Dr. Eric Stamper. Gregory Philip Steiner, Surgery, Union Memorial Hospital, Baltimore, Maryland, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Justin Nathaniel Stover, Anesthesiology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by his mother, Dr. Janelle Decker. Jing Lu Sun, Anesthesiology, Cleveland Clinic, Cleveland, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Mark Elias Tarachi, Surgery, St. John Hospital, Detroit, Michigan, hooded by his father, Dr. Muhib Tarachi, and his brother, Dr. Michael Tarachi, class of 2009. Patrick Jeremy Tate, Pediatrics, Case Western Reserve University Medical Center, Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital, Cleveland, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Ashley Shujung Sang, Pediatrics, Virginia Commonwealth University Health System, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by Dr. Jeffrey Lancaster, Pediatrics, class of 2003. Scott Michael Vasick, Pediatrics, Gazinger Health System, Danville, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella. Corey Thomas Walsh, Orthopedic Surgery, Geisinger Health System, Danville, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Devin Michelle Weber, Internal Medicine, The Ohio State University Medical Center, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by her father, Dr. Dana Mark Weber. Christine Lansdale Westfall, Internal Medicine and Pediatrics, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Andrew Tyler Wilcox, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella. Kelsey Catherine Ringel Williams, Surgery, University of South Alabama Hospitals, Mobile, Alabama, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Brian Gruezo Zamora, Ophthalmology, University of Cincinnati, Cincinnati, Ohio, hooded by his father, Dr. Peligio Zamora. Omer Zulfikar, Internal Medicine, Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, Winston-Salem, South Carolina, hooded by his sister, Dr. Sarah Zulfikar, class of 2006. At this time, would all recipients of the Doctor of Medicine degree please rise? You may be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce Stephanie Busby, Dr. Stephanie Busby, class president of the Morgantown campus, who brings to you the student response.
So that fight or flight response is really kicking in right about now. On behalf of the class of 2012, thank you for joining us here today. To all our mothers, happy Mother's Day. I think I speak for all of my classmates when I say we're so happy you chose to become mothers. The support of our family and friends has meant a lot to us. So for every frantic phone call you answered, every meal you reheated or batch of cookies you baked, and every time you gave us the love and encouragement we needed to push through, we thank you. It truly takes an army to get each person through medical school, and today we share the stage with you. We also want to thank the faculty and staff of the West Virginia University School of Medicine. Your mentorship, more so than any textbook, is what has made us doctors. And you are the reason graduates of this medical school are known for their kindness and compassion. We will carry the lessons you have taught us to our own patients and practices with the hopes that we may live up to your examples. Classmates, please stand and join me in a round of applause. So the generation of the Backstreet Boys and Lady Gaga, Saved by the Bell and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, today graduates from medical school. You can all breathe a sigh of relief. It's been a long road to get here, and we still have a long road ahead. There's a popular pessimism which says, when you see a light at the end of the tunnel, it's probably a train. Intern year will definitely be that train, but in typical overachiever fashion, we're prepared to meet that train head on. The first 2 years of medical school were rough. We studied more than we thought was humanly possible, sent many a highlighter to highlighter heaven, and measured our intake and output in coffee and tears. In many ways, our first 2 years of medical school were like puberty. We're glad it happened, glad it's over with, and extremely glad we'll never have to go through it ever again. But it wasn't all exams and misery. From our picnics and potlucks, game nights and formals, to block parties and bonfires, we've had a ton of fun. We are a close class, a non-cutthroat class, and despite our type A enthusiasm, we're all relatively normal. Who can forget the trip to New Orleans to volunteer with Habitat for Humanity, or the time the small anatomy lab randomly burst into song? And of course, we will always remember the days we spent simply hanging out with each other and the lasting friendships we formed. When we moved on to our clinical years, we realized that for all we learned, we still didn't know very much. Then we learned where being at the bottom of the totem pole really was, and that unfortunately, pimping isn't something that just happens in rap videos. In a single year, we rotated on pediatrics, family medicine, obstetrics and gynecology, internal medicine, psychiatry and neurology, and surgery. And by the end, everything kind of blended together. But more importantly, we learned how to take care of patients, and we learned what it meant to be someone's doctor. We witnessed the best and worst of human nature and learned about ourselves along the way. We watched resilient children run to the playroom with their IV poles in hand while their nurses frantically tried to slow them down. We delivered babies and watched their parents hold them for the first time. And we took patients to the OR for emergency surgery and then watched them recover from their injuries. To quote a truly great movie, Spider-Man 2, with great power comes great responsibility. Young doctors, you must use your super spider powers for good. Medicine is hard and at times overwhelming. It's not easy to empathize with the drug addict or the malingerer or anyone who has anything written on Axis 2. But ultimately, every patient comes to us because they need help in some way and trust we will do what's best for them. While we will not be able to save every patient, we can treat every person with dignity and respect and can show them kindness in a time where they're at their most vulnerable. It is no secret that the medical system is broken, but practicing medicine is still a calling, an honor, and a privilege. When I think about this class, I am filled with hope for the future and believe it's still possible to make a difference in this crazy world. Over the course of our careers, we will collectively have millions of patient encounters, and it's awesome to think about the impact we can make. These past 4 years, we became the people we were meant to become, and we influenced each other for the better. While I am honored to receive my medical degree today, the greater honor is graduating with this class from this university. I'll never forget any of you or this time we spent together. And at our 5-year reunion, I expect there to be lots of laughter and dancing, and possibly some off-key karaoke, and the sound of country roads echoing long into the night. I'm thrilled to be the first to say, doctors, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Stephanie and Darcy before her. 2 absolutely terrific student responses. I'm sure you'd agree. I also want to recognize Dr. Cottrell. I don't know if any of you, unless you have done it yourselves, understand just how hard it is to get each one of those names as right, as perfectly as he did, and then in the midst of the complicated choreography. It's like bowling a 300 game. So Dr. Cottrell. that done. Dr. Norman Ferrari will now administer the oath of Hippocrates.
Would the School of Medicine class of 2012 please rise? It's been a great joy to share this moment in your journey in medicine with you, and I know that I will sleep well tonight knowing that my future healthcare needs are in your hands. At this time, I would invite the physicians in the audience and on the stage who wish to affirm their oath of professionalism to stand and recite with their new colleagues the oath of Hippocrates. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
By whatever I hold most sacred.
By whatever I hold most sacred.
That I will be loyal to the profession of medicine.
That I will be loyal to the profession of medicine.
And just and generous to its members.
And just and generous to its members.
That I will lead my life.
That I will lead my life.
And practice my art.
And practice my art.
In uprightness and honor.
In uprightness and honor.
That into whatsoever home I shall enter.
That into whatsoever home I shall enter.
It shall be for the good of the sick and the well.
It shall be for the good of the sick and the well.
To the utmost of my power.
To the utmost of my power.
And that I will hold myself aloof from wrong and corruption.
And that I will hold myself aloof from wrong and corruption.
And from the tempting of others to vice.
And from the tempting of others to vice.
That I will exercise my art.
That I will exercise my art.
Solely for the cure of my patients.
Solely for the cure of my patients.
And the prevention of disease.
And the prevention of disease.
And I will give no drug.
And I will give no drug.
And perform no operation.
And perform no operation.
For a criminal purpose.
For a criminal purpose.
And far less suggest such a thing.
And far less suggest such a thing.
That whatsoever I shall see or hear of the lives of men.
That whatsoever I shall see or hear of the lives of men.
Which is not fitting to be spoken.
Which is not fitting to be spoken.
I will keep inviolably secret.
I will keep inviolably secret.
These things do I promise.
These things do I promise.
And in proportion as I am faithful to this oath.
And in proportion as I am faithful to this oath.
May happiness and good repute be ever mine.
May happiness and good repute be ever mine.
The opposite if I shall be forsworn.
The opposite if I shall be forsworn.
Please join me in congratulating West Virginians' newest physicians. You may all be seated.
Goosebumps are no extra charge. I now call upon Dr. Christopher Kalenda, Chancellor for the Health Sciences, to confer the degrees of both the Doctor of Philosophy and the Doctor of Medicine candidates.
Representing the faculty and with joy, will the candidates from the School of Medicine please rise? Candidates, your field is one of great dignity that commands the respect of your fellow citizens. Science and medicine have demonstrated great progress in service and research into human physical and mental well-being. WVU has acknowledged health as a basic value in our society. As you enter into the profession of great responsibilities, I trust that you will hold foremost your thoughts and plans for the people of West Virginia, the United States, and the world who require your skills, your research, and your service. As West Virginia University graduates, always aspire to put your education to work exploring our world's greatest problems. Continue to cultivate your global awareness and aim to create a more peaceful and just world. Constantly refine your abilities to uncover facts, analyze problems, and communicate clearly. Dream big, dream very big, and never stop learning. Your pride in West Virginia University, keep your pride in West Virginia University wherever you go, and act as ambassadors for WVU, the life-changing power of education. So, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the West Virginia University Board of Governors, I hereupon confer upon you the degrees for which you have been recommended, with all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. It is a great day to be a Mountaineer.
Dr. Lee W. Schaefer is a graduate of the class of 1948 and president of the School of Medicine Alumni Association. Dr. Schaefer brings you greetings from the Alumni Association. Dr. Schaefer.
Greetings, medical graduates. Please be seated. I'm here to welcome you into the ranks of the alumni of the School of Medicine. For you're no longer acolytes in the Temple of Asclepius, but you are full and recognized members of its priesthood. You have climbed the mountain, and this day will be forever a shining moment in your lives, a moment to be tucked away in the corner of your mind and brought forward from time to time to be savored again and again. I think that only those who have trod this path can truly appreciate the degree of challenge and the meaning of your achievement. However, these laurels which you wear today will have to be won again, won month by month and year by year by the quality of your professional lives. Your Alumni Association has a proud history of service to both student and practitioner. We invite you to be involved in its activities and to take advantage of its resources. We are here to serve you. Indeed, these are your medical roots, roots which nourish the tree which is this university and its branch which is the School of Medicine. A tree which stands tall in the forest of higher learning institutions. So again, congratulations on attaining alumni status. And as we like to say, let's go, Mountaineers. Go into the medical world and show one and all what Mountaineers are made of. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Schaefer. Class of 2012, parents, family members, friends, faculty, and honored guests, please rise as we join together in the singing of the words of our alma mater, written in 1938 by WVU graduate student Louis Corson. During the singing of the alma mater, it's customary for gentlemen to remove their caps.
Sing we of the
Thank you, and please be seated. We're almost done. As Henry VIII was once overheard saying to one of his wives, "I won't be keeping you much longer." Welcome to the medical profession, doctors. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? What a pleasure it is to have the opportunity to be with you and to share with you and your families the joy and pride you must be feeling right now. You've achieved a monumental milestone in your lives. A long time ago, your teachers, your parents, perhaps some very special others, recognized you had talents and abilities. They sacrificed to provide you with every possible advantage, and as you came to see that you were gifted, you began to work your tails to succeed, to get into medical school. Now, some of your routes into medical school were more circuitous than others, and for some of you, the challenges of medical school have been greater than for others. But you all just graduated. You've proven you have what it takes to be great, wonderful, caring doctors. But now that you're doctors, please don't ever forget to permit yourself to be so busy that your loved ones get left behind or forgotten. For the most part, they're the ones who got you here, and they're the ones who are going to get you through. You need them, and they need you. I think the most common error made by medical students, residents, and practitioners is the lack of the time and affection that their loved ones deserve, and that they don't reserve that time for their loved ones. Don't do that. So just as you've just taken the Hippocratic Oath, I implore each and every one of you to take another equally important vow. Please take it today. Promise as you embark upon your career in medicine that you will never, ever leave your parents, your spouses, your partners, or your children behind. I want one more minute of your time. I want to remind you that you are graduating from our state's land-grant university. Our most important reason for being here is to care for West Virginians, to do the things we need to do in order to improve their health and wellness. We're here to transform lives and eliminate health disparities. Each and every one of you is now skilled and equipped to do so. We're pleased that so many of you have chosen to remain in West Virginia for your training. It helps us to assure that we're keeping our promise to the wonderful citizens of this great state. To those of you who are going elsewhere, impress folks with your mountaineer spirit and do good things. Then come back. Always keep West Virginia in your hearts and in your minds, and someday soon let those country roads take you home. In 1903, Sir William Osler charged his students in a commencement address by saying, "May this day be to each of you, as it was to me, the beginning of a happy life and a happy calling." Another great and very famous doctor, Dr. Seuss, has said in a situation similar to this, "You're off to great places. Today's your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way." Me, a not so famous doctor, but I have the privilege of the podium, so I can offer you this simple charge. Please never, ever lose the altruism that drew you to this wonderful profession, a profession whose foundation is altruism itself. Work hard, have fun, good luck, Godspeed, congratulations, doctors, and thank you, class of 2012. So there you go, we're done. Let the party begin. There hadn't been a single air horn the entire morning. As we begin the processional, we'll ask all of you, our guests, to please remain in your seats until the stage party, the faculty, and the students have exited the hall. Your graduates will be waiting for you to meet them upstairs in the waterfront ballroom for a reception to which you're all invited in their honor. I want to thank all of you for joining us this morning. Once again, to all of the mothers here, happy Mother's Day. God bless you. Thank you for all you do for us. This has been a very special morning, and I look to see you all upstairs. Thank you.